Hi, welcome back to episode Prevention is Better Than Cure. So this is the last episode, so this is part 3, so welcome to part 3. Why did I choose this title for this episode? The reason is because I thought outside the box. I knew in advance, the signs of being targeted and the laws that supports privacy breaches and what to look out for when you're targeted. And I was then able to take an action to try and do all the right things to protect myself from privacy invasion, cyberbullying, and everything else that goes with it. So what you will be actually viewing in this clip is just me having a conversation with the general manager and my employer's lawyer. And the reason why I wanted to record this meeting, and it was vital for me to record it because, one, they didn't tell me anything about the mental health assessment in advance. I didn't know anything about it until we were actually outside waiting for them, to come into the room, and that was when I was first advised about the mental health assessment. And I wasn't happy when it was advised to me by the union rep, because it was the first time I heard of it, since I was taken off site from the workplace. So I quickly thought, well, I'm going to record this. And the reason why I wanted this meeting to be recorded was because I was going to address the protected disclosure application in 2010. And if they had said no recording, I would have declined the whole meeting, because it would be my right to decline if there is things like this. When you go to a meeting and it's been set up, the other party is supposed to be aware, so everyone's on the same boat when you go into a meeting. So that was a reason why I wanted the actual meeting recorded. And if they had said no, that I wasn't allowed to record the meeting, then I would have declined the whole meeting, and that would have been my right to, because I knew that I was now at a stage where I actually needed a lawyer to step in for me. So that was another, reason why I wanted this meeting recorded, because I actually wanted to address the protected disclosure complaints in 2010. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. So watch right to the end. Basically, come to the end of this episode. So I'll get onto it, and hope you enjoy this clip and get lots of tips out of what to do for yourself.
We understand, yep.
Yeah, and just further to that is that Minno's been through a similar process 6 years ago, and I think at the time the ministry asked for an assessment.
2009.
2009, and the ministry, I think, organised that, and there was some concerns for Minno in terms of not so much ownership, but, well, I guess ownership of the information that came out. So we would like a conversation. We understand the assertions you're making. We think it's probably useful that there's some medical information added into the mix, but we would just like a conversation on how we go about that, as opposed to the ministry requesting sort of access to Minno's records.
So yes, it was by consent by all parties, but that letter that is actually an exhibit on the last episode. He was actually CC'd into it, this very same general manager I was talking to. His name is actually on the actual letter that was confirmed by my employer that they had received the protected disclosure allegations. He was CC'd in this letter, and so was the senior HR for the employer. Can I add to that, please? My complaint is, I still say it's historical and it's serial bullying, because it's the same complaints that I tried to sort out back in 2000. Well, it's been a slow progress of bullying to the point where I've gotten to today. It's actually been quite dangerous all these years for me. But I, being a delegate, so I know exactly what I'm talking about when at that time I submitted my complaints, and I submitted in 2010 a protected disclosure, and in that disclosure there was a report in there where 2009 my manager at the time, who was she referred me for a mental health assessment. I didn't know at the time why she was doing that. All I knew was that there was serious privacy breaches happening at the time in my private life. But I went anyway. The report came back that there was nothing wrong with me. I was interviewed by 2 women at that time. I didn't know the reason why I was even sent until I actually asked for a disclosure of the report. And on the report, it actually said that the reason why I was being referred was because I was seen to be paranoid. I knew there was absolutely nothing wrong with me. The things that have been happening to me, there have been things like my word against theirs. Regardless, I knew that it was happening. It was serious privacy breaches. So it was just been one of those things that I've had to suffer and ride out, which I have. Now, in that protected disclosure, there were 2 sworn affidavits drafted up, and in the meeting that I had was, in that protected disclosure, it had all the information that would have given them a reason to actually to be concerned, because there was also in that protected disclosure was a report, because I was involved in a car accident that I still believe to this day was linked to what I was going through with the privacy breach. stalking and all the rest of it, all that was on file and all that was discussed at the meeting. Now, in this report that I got back from the mental health assessment, there was stuff in that report that I never disclosed to nobody. I'm a very, very private person, and I can get people to, be my character witness to verify everything I'm saying. But on that report, somebody had written on it that I was raped. Now, I remember bringing this up at the meeting when I had and I actually burst into tears at that meeting because I was really upset to read that, because I didn't tell anybody at that assessment anything like that. In fact, I could tell you word for word what I said at that meeting. But anyway, I thought that what I had submitted was enough for them to initiate an investigation. Also, in that protected disclosure, there was I put in one also for my church, and I put my pastor. I grew up in this church. I'd been there from 11 years old. They're like family to me, and I explained all this back in 2010 at that meeting. Unfortunately, the system let me down, because I even tried to get it sorted out with the Commissioner of Police and the independent police conduct authorities. That's how desperate I was. That's why I'm saying that my issue is serial bullying. Once someone loses their privacy, you can't get it back.
Can I interrupt, please, Mina? Look, I appreciate what you're wanting to say.
Yeah.
But can I just come back to if you'll bear with me, the purpose of this meeting was not to receive submissions in respect of the allegations and the complaints. And I appreciate your desire to want to raise those with me, but I just want to bring us back to the purpose of the meeting, because the investigation is still underway, and a decision maker is at the stage where he's forming his preliminary views, and neither myself nor what those preliminary views are gave some information about what he thought might be happening. But if I could just come back, what I was wanting was any submissions in respect of the issue that is in front of us right now, that is your return to work, Mina. And I had written saying that I was considering suspension and wanted to hear from yourself any submissions in respect of my thoughts around suspending you from employment. I've had yourself that a preference for a continuation of special leave on pay. So look, I know it does sound as though I'm cutting you off, but in fact I am.
That's fine. There is something to do with this, going back to this investigation we're talking about now. In my application that I submitted to, I had a list of witnesses for him to actually.
No.
Does that not matter?
No, just leave that at the moment. That's for data. So just to conclude, was that can you just give consideration in terms of how those protections might be put in place? It's probably an issue in terms of the medical records and access to it. So that would be, you're normally granting you or you referring an employee to a practitioner normally goes along with granting of access to those records, and so what we need are either some boundaries around that, or your acceptance that Mina initiates that report and then passes a summary of it or something on to you. So that discussion, if that discussion, I'm raising it now because I just don't want to raise it. I don't want it raised at the last moment, and I'm just not sure how fast the process might go following a preliminary decision or the next step. So the information is I think I'm right in saying that you're happy to provide that information, Minna, but you want some protections around the level of the information, right?
Can you repeat that again?
Okay, could you just consider, I'll come back, I'll have a discussion with Minna about it. If you could just consider that and come back to me on that, that'd be appreciated.
Right. Okay, we'll do. So, look, and thank you for that. So, look, having regard to our discussions and your suggested alternative to suspension, I'm agreeable to willing to advise you now that rather than suspend you on pay, Mina, until the investigation is completed, we'll continue your special leave on pay until the investigation is completed. And we'll write to you and copy you, or email you, Mina, and copy just to confirm that it will be continuation of special leave on pay until the investigation is completed.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Just one more thing. In regards to
about the case. Okay.
No, I'm talking about this.
Okay.
Just in regards to the report of. I actually had a response that I wrote up on the 23rd of September. Was that received?
Yes,
because there was a lot of things in the report that wasn't really what I said, and that was, to me, that's actually really important, and I just wanted to know whether that's been taken into consideration.
I'm certain.
Yes, it was received, Mina, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay.
All
right, look, thanks very much for calling in. As I said, just to summarise, we'll continuation of special leave on pay until the investigation's been completed, and we'll write to you and copy. We'll write to you, Mina, and copy you, Glenn, with that confirmation.
Thank you.
So that was the reason why I used my initiative, and I was determined to have this meeting recorded because for the very reason of why I'm using it now. But I just knew that I had to be more concerned about in the moment evidence than, anything else. So basically what you're seeing in this whole channel is after the fact evidence and the steps that I took to protect myself as an individual.